Okay, everybody, it's D-Day. It's time to epoxy these countertops. I'd be lying if I didn't say I wasn't a little bit nervous, but worst case scenario, we just have to redo them. So no big deal. So I have painted them. I have taped off. I have plastic on the fronts and on the floor, and now I'm ready to mix up some epoxy. I broke my tripod, so I can't set you guys up on my tripod, but I'm gonna try and find some way to set the phone up so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm just getting ready to mix up some epoxy. Today I'm using the Epoxy. This is a 2-to-1, so I need 2 parts of resin to 1 part of hardener. Make sure you read your label depending on what you're using, because some of them are 1-to-1, some of them are 2-to-1. So I'm going to use this 3-cup measure here. Oh, I just made a mess on my counter. I don't know how much I'm going to need, but I'm going to start with 3 cups. You don't want to mix enough for the whole space if you've got a big space like I do here, because you only have about 20 minutes of working space or working time. So I'm just going to mix it in a couple of batches and it will flow together in the middle. So I'm going to mix up 3 cups, means I need 2 cups of resin and 1 cup of hardener. So I'm just using some cheap measuring cups I bought from the dollar store. I also bought a pack of cheap spatulas, so that's what I'm going to use. So you're going to pour the hardener into the resin. Make sure you get it all out. And then you're going to mix. You're going to mix for 2 minutes. All right, I'm all mixed. I've mixed for 2 minutes. There are air bubbles in it, but we're not going to worry about that right now. We'll get that in a later step. I'm going to just pour this clear resin sort of in just a random pattern. And then I'm going to come back with my fingers. No, I'm going to come back with the heat gun. I'm just winging this, really. I'm just going to come back with the heat gun and warm it up. It'll help it flow a little bit better and pop some of the air bubbles. And then I'll use my hands to sort of get it all over this counter. Wish me luck. I'm not going to use a thick layer. I don't really want a thick layer right now. Oh, you can see, that's good. I'm going to use a heat gun. I'm just going to run over it real quick, pop the air bubbles and get it warm. Okay. I'm just using my hands to move the epoxy around. I don't want to get too close to the front edge yet, just because I'll lose a lot off of the front edge. I'm going to get some off the back edge and side edges though, because they're just up against a wall. Don't worry about getting every tiny little millimeter, because there's still quite a bit of epoxy to go on here yet. You don't need a super thick layer, so I'm moving some of this over so it'll go a little bit further. I'm trying to keep my feet under the plastic so I don't have to drip on my socks. Once you got that epoxy over the front edge, it just follows itself. So you don't want a lot of it near the front or it'll pull it all over the front and you'll end up with some bare spots. Just wipe it down this front edge so it's all sort of sealed with epoxy. All right, I'm gonna mix up another 3 cups and I'll be back. So I mixed up that second 3 cup of epoxy, and I don't need the whole thing. That first 3 cups covered about 2/3, so I just need some of it. So I put some into these plastic cups and I added some colorant. So I have 2 cups of white and 2 cups of pink. The white one, I actually used the Epoxy pigment colors. The pink one, I used a little bit of the Epoxy white and some pink acrylic craft paint I had because they didn't have the color I wanted in pink. And I read that that works. So here we are. I'm gonna finish the clear epoxy on here and then I'll come back and show you, hopefully, how good this pink and white veining goes on this counter. Brought a whole box of gloves with me so I can switch gloves out as I need to. 2 dry gloves again. Okay, I think it's pink time. So you're gonna take your pink resin that has your colorant in it, and we're gonna try and make it look like a marble, so it needs to be sort of continuous veins. Cross your fingers. Turns out I have a lot of pink. I haven't even got like halfway through my first cup yet. I didn't know how much I was gonna need. Okay, I think this looks good so far, but I am gonna pour a little bit heavier on some of these pink veins. And just pour it right from the cup. As is pretty evident, there is no science behind this. It is just random as you know what. Make sure it goes over the front edge, although none of it's apparently staying on the front edge, so that's fine. Ooh, so far so good. Now I'm going to come in with just a little bit of white and pour kind of over the pink veins a little bit, or at least right beside the pink veins. Gives it a little bit of depth, and we'll feather some of these out so they're not such big, strong pink lines. Okay, then I read a thing that said, use a cheap, shitty roller. They did say to use a foam roller. This is what I had. Oh, let me get all the fuzzies out of it first. Fuzz would be bad right now. Fuzz is not your friend in epoxy. Okay, so you're gonna take your roller and you're just gonna like follow the direction. Oh, see, it leaves bubbles, but that's okay. Follow the direction of your vein It sort of just like makes it not such a harsh line. Just lightly over it. Just, you don't want to like blend all your colors in, but I think this looks so good. I'm so excited. So I can get those drops. I have some pink drops. Try and get those out of there. Oh, I have a pink marble countertop. Oh my God, I'm so excited right now. Okay, I'm gonna go over it with the heat gun and get some of the bubbles out. Oh, so happy. So in this cup, I just have some gold. It's a gold metallic spray paint. And I just spray painted in here. And I'm just gonna take this and just sort of like, it doesn't work. That doesn't work. I need a different tool. What am I gonna use? Maybe if I break one of these in half. Let's see what happens. I'm just gonna run some of this through some of these pink veins. I'm gonna blend it in a little bit. I can't get a glove on. Oh, no, that was a mistake. Honestly, I think I'm gonna call it good. That was a fast project. I have been putting this off and putting it off for, well, forever, quite frankly. And you know what? It was not so bad. I think I'm gonna go over just some of the, I have a little bit of clear resin left, so I'm gonna go over some of the spots where the gold is, just with some clear resin. See if that can sort of like mitigate some of the heavy blotch that it left. We're gonna hit it with the heat gun one more time. Ooh. Oh, I have resin on my heat gun. I'm gonna hit it with the heat gun one more time, and then I'm gonna let it sit for 2 hours. Then I'm gonna take the tape off. Okay, see you in 2 hours. Hey everyone, me again. I am just out here. I'm just gonna put the top coat on the countertop. It's been like a week, maybe more. My life got in the way. So I retaped. I forgot to show you untaping, but after 2 hours of letting it sit, I took the tape off carefully so that, like that, sorry, it's so shaky. I took the piece of tape off from under here. So I don't have any drips under there. It was kind of amazing and perfect. And then I took all the tape off from the back so that when the tape comes off, it leaves like a little bit of a gap. And so if you do it at 2 hours while it's still soft, that epoxy just like fills that space in. So I have no gap here where the tape used to be. It's just perfect. So I retaped under here. Plastic was still all here from last week. So I'm gonna mix epoxy up the same way I did before. 2 parts of, I don't remember which one. 2 parts of resin, 1 part hardener. And I'm gonna do it the same as I did before. I'm just gonna put a coat over the whole thing. I'm gonna use my hands to sort of like work it around, use the heat gun to get the bubbles out. And again, after 2 hours, I will come back and take the tape off. I poured the top coat on my epoxy countertop last night. Just came out to check it. Looks so good. Boom. Mother effing spider stuck in my epoxy.